Hey guys, welcome to lesson 9.1 and we are in day 2. So let's get going. Okay, so we are going to talk more about domain and range, and we're going to actually be graphing this, kind of using our new concepts. So a square root function, you either have one of 4 choices. So it's either going to go up, down to the right, or left, or up, down to the left. And so it's always going to look at like one of those. So what we're going to do is look at our starting point. So our starting point is going to be at +1, 3. And I'm going to start putting numbers in for x and see what happens. So if I do 2 minus 1, that's going to be 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 5. But if I plug in a 3 here, it's going to give me the square root of 2. I don't like that. So let's bump it up. Let's see, 4 minus 1, that's 3. No. What about 5 minus 1? 5 minus 1 is 4, and I can take the square root of 4. So I like that. So I'm going to use that. So I have, let's see, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. Let's do another one. So what is our next perfect square? So it'd be 9. So let's see, I want to make this a 10 because 10 minus 1 is 9. So this is going to be 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. Okay, and we can keep going, but let's go ahead and stop here and graph this. Okay, so you can kind of see the way this looks. So let's look at our domain. So our domain is going to start here at 1, 3 and go on to positive infinity. So our domain is going to be 1 to infinity. Let's see, our range starts right here and goes up to positive infinity. So our range is going to be 3 to positive infinity. Okay, let's move on to an absolute value function. So again, let's go ahead and find the starting point, and I'm going to put that in the middle this time. So our starting point is -3, 5, and I'll start there. And let's see, let's go -2, -4, -5, and I'll do -1. Go ahead and put those values in and see what you get. Okay, so I went ahead and graphed my points. Don't forget that it's 2 lines coming together, so we can use this as kind of like a weird slope. So it's going down 1/1 in both directions. So we've got this going on. Okay, so our domain is going to be -infinity to positive infinity, and our range is going to be -infinity to 5. Okay, the thing that's jumping out at me before I do anything is I have this odd root. And so my domain and range are going to be super easy. So anytime you have an odd root, your domain and range is taken care of for you. I also know that my starting point is going to be -1, -4. And then I'm just going to work around that. Again, I would try to find nice numbers to go in here. So like perfect cubes. So let's do, I'll do one. What about 0? So if I plug in 0, that would give me 1 underneath here. So the cube root of 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 minus 4 is -1. So let's do the next one. So let's see, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I'm looking for 8. So if I plug in a 7 here, then that's going to give me an 8. And 7 plus 1 is 8. Cube root of 8 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. So let's do -8. So if I did -8, then -9 would be what I want for my x. So I have -2 times 3 is -6 minus 4 is negative. And the graph is going to look something like this. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. So we have a square root function. So I want to go back to what I said before. So I automatically know it's going to look like one of these. And so let's go ahead and start. So what happens here is it makes this weird graph. So I only found 3 values that work, these 3. And so I want to show you, this isn't on the test, but I just wanted to show you what happens here. So I put this in on Desmos and it makes a semicircle. And so we're going to put that and then we'll talk about the domain and range. Okay, so I'm going to draw my semicircle here. Okay, so my domain is where it begins and where it ends. So it's going to be -4 to 4. And my range is also going to be up to 4, but it's going to start at 0 to 4. And again, this isn't on your test. I just wanted you to be able to see it. Okay, guys, for the last 2 problems, we are going to talk about piecewise functions. And I always start off with having a boundary, like labeling my boundaries. So like here, I have one at x equals -1, which is right here, and then +1 right here. So I have 3 different sections. And so what I'm going to do is I don't use one XY chart. I use 3, and I'll kind of talk to you about that here in a second. So I'm just going to focus on this. So even though -1 is not included, it goes right up to -1. So I'm going to include that. And then I'm going to put an open dot next to -1 just to help me remember that it's not included. So it's going to be an open dot. X is less than -1. I'm going to go down, -2, -3. And I'm going to fill in those values, substitute in those values for 2x plus 1. So 2 times -1 is -2 plus 1 is -1. And then -3 and -5. And I'm going to go ahead and graph that. So -1, -1, open circle. And then -2, -3. And then -3, -5. Notice it goes on and on forever. So I'm going to go ahead and put an arrow there. So for my next XY chart, I'll just use this one. So I am going to put in the values. You don't have to do them all, but you can if you want. So I know that I have a closed dot at -1, and then I have 0, and then I have 1, and I also have a closed dot there. Notice when it has a number, that is just giving you your Y value. So I have -1, 3. I have 0, 3, and I have 1, 3. This is a segment. It is not a line or array. It begins and it ends. Okay, and then for the last one, again, I'm going to use that 1, and then it's greater than, so I'm going to do 2 and 3 as well. Okay, so open circle on 1, so I'm going to put that little open dot there, and I'm going to plug in my value. So I have -1, -2, -3, and notice it keeps going on and on forever, so it's also going to have an arrow. So 1, -1, open dot, 2, -2, and 3, -3. Okay, so this is the look of my piecewise function. And so now we're going to talk about domain and range. So our domain starts at -infinity. And even though it stops here, it picks up here at the same line. Oops. And so we are going to keep it going, and it ends in positive infinity. So there's not, even though it has an open dot and a closed dot, they kind of overlap because it's the same spot. So it's going to be -infinity to positive infinity. And my range, how low does it go? It's going to go to -infinity. And how high does it go? Okay, well, this is kind of in 2 parts here. So this part goes from -infinity to -1. And then it also has a part up here at 3. So I'm just going to add in that 3. Okay, here's another piecewise function. So I'm going to start with this one, the top one, and I'm just going to fill in the values that it gives me. So -2, and let's see, there's a closed dot on -2 and a closed dot on 2. So go ahead and fill in your values. Okay, so I have some yucky values in here. You can put it in there. You don't have to. So I have, let's see, -2, 0. Oh, let's go ahead and draw our boundaries. Let's see. We've got -2 and +2. Okay, so -2, 0, and that's going to be a closed dot. And then I have -1, 1, and I have 2, 2. So really, as long as you know it makes kind of like half of a sideways parabola, you're good. But notice, just like the last one, this one has a beginning and an end. Okay, so let's do the next one. I'm just going to keep going on this one. So I'm going to start with 2. Notice I have a 2 up here. I don't care. So I'm just going to look at where it begins, and then I'm going to keep going. I'll do 3 and 4. Okay, and so this has an open circle at 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. 4 minus 4 is 0. So let's go ahead and graph this. So 2, 2. Notice that there's a dot already there. So closed dot trumps open dot. So I'm going to keep it closed. And then 3, 1, and 4, 0. So this is going to be a line because it's not bounded. So it's going to look like this. So our domain is going to be, it starts here and it goes to positive infinity. So it's going to be -2 to positive infinity. And our range starts in negative infinity and it goes up here to 2. So negative infinity to 2. And that's it, guys.